little hug on the stage.
We've been hanging out for like 2 hours, but oh my God, so good to see you.
Hi, Jillian. Okay, so, oh my God, we have so many things to discuss. And this is going to be kind of one of those unabashed conversations. We might even take some questions from you guys. So if you're jonesing for a question that's not obnoxious, you can
ask obnoxious
You can ask obnoxious questions.
Yeah, I'm pretty obnoxious.
Come on up.
I can handle it.
And we'll get into that. But first, we're going to start with, so Jillian, you have a massive brand. I know saying brand sounds kind of yucky sometimes, but as a businesswoman, as a person who is deeply interested in health and well-being of many, and who I think goes deep in terms of avoiding the fads and really understanding the science behind health, can you tell us about your start, your journey, how you've gotten to where you are, the whole fucking thing all at once? Go.
I was gonna say, go. I would take your entire conference. I would just say, like, I'll try to put it in a nutshell.
That would be nice.
I'm not afraid of the word brand, because to me, brand is something that's authentic and consistent. That to me is what builds a brand. Now, whether a brand is successful or not, yes, there are different, different things you can do, obviously, aesthetically and messaging and so on. But for me, I started as an overweight kid. I was a bullied kid. And I think that my own journey with fitness allowed me to appreciate exercise as not necessarily a means to looking better, which I mean I very much cared about and still do from time to time, but it empowered me. Mm-hmm. So as a bullied kid, and there's kind of this famous story I've told 1,000 times, it was my 2nd degree blue belt test, I'm 14, still overweight, I had to break these 2 boards with a sidekick, and I didn't think I was gonna do it. I ended up being able to do it, and I remember I walked into school the next day and I was like, come on! And nobody fucked with me. I was so disappointed. I was so upset. And I like the next day I went to school and nobody fucked with me. And it was like, and nobody really fucked with me in that way again. And I began in time to understand that it's because I felt empowered and I had more respect for myself. And when we feel empowered, it transcends into every facet of our lives. So fitness for me became a means to redefine self-image and empower people. So that's where my passion and my brand story comes from. And then I fell into fitness when I was 17. I was graduated high school early, not because I'm a genius, but because I had this weird birthday.
So, yeah, humble brag.
No, dude, I'm like your other girl. I did not graduate college, dropped out.
Oh, that one.
Dropped out. I will say no names, but and so I was 17, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, got myself into a host of trouble, delivered pizza for a while, all kinds of crap, but was training for my black belt test.
That's awesome.
And in the gym, people thought that I was a trainer, and they would come up to me and say, how much do you charge? And for a minute, I was like, for what? and then I was like,
clarify.
I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they're like, oh, you're a trainer. I was like, oh.
Sure am.
Yeah, and then I was like, I went from making like $6 an hour, and I was charging $20 an hour. And my mom, thank God, was the voice of reason, and she's like, I get that you're like loving this, but I think you need some sort of credential of some kind. So she got me like my first little certification, fell into it, loved it. Make another very long story short, at about 24, I got convinced that I needed a real job. How we fall into the shoulds of life, and we forget about what we really want. And I never made less money in my entire life. I was never more miserable in my entire life. There was a serendipitous event that I very clearly instigated by stirring up some shit at my desk job. Got fired at 27 after wasting 3 years at a talent agency in Los Angeles. And I fell back into training because I had to pay the bills. And I was mortified at that time because I was like, I was a Hollywood agent. Now I'm like putting towels on people at a physical therapy center. And then I would work with these physical therapy patients. And then they would graduate into personal training clients. And I remember I got a phone call from one of them, and she was in tears. And she had felt her hip bone for the first time in 8 years.
Oh, man.
And at that moment, I was like, fuck, how did I get so far afield? And that's when I knew deep down, like, this was my path. This is what I needed to do. And from that point, that's when I began trying to understand how to build a brand. And that's kind of where that component of my business began.
So sticking to, it sounds like, and I know this about you from our deep and very long-standing friendship. We just met back then.
I was like,
And,
yeah.
Remember that?
I was like, are we? Yes.
Yes, in college.
Remember that
time?
authenticity thing? Fucking best friends.
So one of the ways that I love that you talk about brand, and many of the women in the audience and in our community in general are building their own businesses, they're building their businesses online, they're building their businesses through their medical profession or through the area in which they are real experts. And I know you, in the way you talk about your business and your brand, they're intermingled, your life and your brand seem intermingled, and it's hard, I think, to stay, to remain authentic when you're trying to scale. Like scaling, you're not in a small community anymore, you're touching a lot of people. You get feedback that you don't love. What would be your advice for someone building a business in this room and you've got maybe like 500 followers and you want 50,000 and the only way to get the 50,000 you feel is to post a selfie with a hedgehog or post a selfie.
I'm down with that.
Or
I
post
thought
a
you were going to
selfie.
say of your bare ass. I was like, bad idea.
I know.
Bad idea.
Clickbait, you might go afield a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you suggest people stay authentic to themselves while also building an important business?
Well, my argument would be that what breeds that kind of longevity is your authenticity, right? And I look at those kind of quick fixes and the clickbait, I do understand it. And if you want to engage in those contrivances, do it in a way where maybe they click, but when they do, you deliver on whatever it is that you've just promised. So one of the things I remember with my second book, it was called, originally it was going to be the 30-Day Shred, then that became my DVD, which is, my first DVD became the best-selling fitness DVD of all time. I can't shake this fucking...
Woo!
I don't own it. No,
we hate that.
But it was, I appreciate that, right? But it was the sexy promise, and it delivered. To this day, people are like, I just started 30-Day Shred again. I'm like, damn it, do one that I own. But, and the book was called Making the Cut. And it was another sexy promise, right? Or master your metabolism. Well, that's a sexy promise. But I delivered on the results. So I get it. If you want to engage in that, make sure, though, that you can follow it up with something that delivers on what you're promising. And I think that those kind of shortcuts are like crack. Or in my business, it's like doing steroids. Yeah, you might get results in the moment, but down the road, you're going to pay for that in a really big way. Right. So ultimately, patience and fortitude, right? If you stay authentic to your brand, you will build an authentic audience, and people are catching on. That's why now it's about micro-influencers with engagement. Because all the air in that bubble has popped on that fake.
And micro-influencers, and we have a lot of them. Micro-influencers, I think, stay focused on what it is they know really well. And you have a community that's loyal, one hopes, and it's going macro. You've gone macro because you deliver results, I think, and because you're charming and curse a lot. But besides that, it's hard to develop the big scaled audience when you are very specific. So what do you do when someone doesn't like you, when you get negative feedback? To stay true to oneself means you're gonna piss people off in some cases. You can't do platitudes. What do you do with negative feedback?
That's very interesting. There are many people throughout the years that I've known who've been very successful riding the line. And at the end of the day, the ultimate diplomat is going to be someone like Oprah. She's always on the right side of a one-sided issue. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's incredibly successful, and everyone loves her, and she's brilliant and talented, and why wouldn't you love her? But you notice she doesn't necessarily, on something that's like a two-way debate, she doesn't take a side, because she is definitely like, hey, I'm here for you. I don't want to alienate my audience, and that's totally understandable. But if you're an expert, because Oprah never claimed to be an expert, you do have to take a stand. You have to have a position to last. They're very different things, and I don't think that people appreciate the difference.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So if you're an expert, take a stand, and it's the stupid cliche of you can't please everybody all the time. And you will have to, in order to build a brand, take a stand, have a position, and stand by it. And to me, that's longevity. And you don't need You don't need an audience
Right.
that's enormous. You need a niche following that's loyal, and that's what matters.
I think that's awesome and really interesting to this audience in particular because we have a lot of true experts with a capital E,
Yeah.
who have credentials like you and who decided when people were asking them to train them that maybe I should get some credentials. Maybe I should figure out, I mean, I could make you look hot, but maybe I'm pulling some deep, deep muscle in that process. Like, I should understand what I'm doing.
Deep muscle.
Deep in there.
Something.
It's way in there. It's micro. But I think the...
Pulled an ovary.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I feel it. And I think that I love the idea of standing for something, though, because when you stand for something, if there are two or more sides to the topic, someone's going to not like it. Someone's going to get pissed off. You do that with, I think, unabashed awesomeness, the way that you take sides and stand for things. Because if you don't stand for something, you kind of stand for nothing.
That's exactly right. And be open. I mean,
right,
I'm
right.
willing
Not
to
like
hear,
you can't hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to hear all sides of every argument, and I've changed my position on many things over the years.
Let's talk about that, when you're wrong. Let's talk about when you're wrong.
It's fine to be wrong.
Not you, but that. Anyone.
Right, and I've been wrong many times. And it's fine to be wrong. What's not okay, I think, is to be a liar. And you're saying something that you don't believe for financial gain, and I promise you that will backfire. And when you are wrong, you just turn around and go, and I had to do this with my third book, when I was like, God, the nutrition advice I gave in book 1 and 2 was way off base. So sorry about that. And it's true, like at that time, I truly believed that it was like, I don't want to name any brand names because I'm all filled up on lawsuits, as we were discussing earlier.
No room for more. Nobody's for today.
100% to the brand.
That dance card is not got any room.
No. But I had recommended in my first couple of books, oh, make this with this artificial sweetener. And now I'm like, oh my God, don't touch it. It's poison. It's nuclear. So, it's okay to be wrong and own that shit. That to me is strength when you're like, I fucked up here. I'm taking responsibility for it. I mean, to me, nothing says strength and confidence more than your ability to listen, hear somebody else out, and if it resonates with you, hey, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I made a mistake here, and I'm changing my position, and here's why.
I think that's awesome. And I think the hashtag fails, which we talk about a lot at She Knows, are the things that make us stronger. It's how you handle it. If you back it up into a defensive corner and you're lies on top of spin, I think that's when you lose an audience. Because I don't know a lot of people who want to be in that community, the one where everyone's, sort of spinning all the time. Well, so we're going to move to your awesomeness as a mom and a partner, and you're just going to you said I could talk about anything.
No, you're welcome to. It was the word awesomeness. I'm like, I'm pretty sure my kids might debate you on that.
You're moderately well-handled maternal instincts.
Right?
That's what we'll talk about. How has, this is so cliche, but I actually think it's interesting, how has being a mother changed the way that you handle your business, the way that you contemplate health? Or maybe it hasn't at all.
You know what's interesting? You just brought up the first thing that comes to mind, which there are many different things, but when you say business, you don't want to upset people. You don't want to, say the wrong thing or take a stand and alienate a group of people. And there was a time when I was like I give zero fucks girl. And look, I give a fuck about the environment. There's a place to put your fucks, and you know where that is. But like the zero fucks thing is what people think about you, right? That's where we give zero fucks. That's the aspiration to the zero fuck movement. With that said, I was 100% on the bandwagon in the very beginning of zero fucks.
Right.
Up until I had kids. And that's when I started to care.
Right.
And I was just mentioning to you that someone had done this piece on me recently, and it was a partner in this big media group and what have you, and the fitness headline was, "The Queen of Mean." And I literally, and I never do this, not only did I give a ton of fucks, I was in tears about it because it's a place that my kids would go and their friends would go. And I did not want, for my children, I don't want other kids being like, oh, your mom's the queen of mean. And, it matters. Kids, you've got skin in the game, man. Like there was a time when I was like, I don't care. I'll go wait tables at Red Lobster. Right. I don't give a shit if I lose everything. Now You know, it's like, again, I told you, I'm like filled up on lawsuits, don't want another, trying to put the kids through college. Like, you gotta be more, you're more careful because, and I think it's also partly the age, is that like 20s sucked, they were so hard. 30s were awesome. 40s, I'm like, okay, you've got age, it's the sandwich thing again, aging parents, younger kids, a company, and you're like, you feel the weight of the world, and you fuck up, you take other people down with you.
It's intense.
So it definitely makes me a little more like, you know, you want to be like, and another thing, sir, you person that I'm disagreeing with at the moment. So, you know, it makes you more like, okay, you know, less reckless for sure.
I love that.
More thoughtful.
I love
For
that.
sure. And it's like the Jack Nicholson line when he said to, I think it was Laura Dern, you make me want to be a better man. You know, your kids make you want to be a better person.
I think that's so awesome. Don't you? I feel like that deserves a little something.
Okay.
Because that was so cool.
It wasn't my line, but
not that one, not that one.
It was James Brooks, I think,
No,
but yes.
It was the where to put your fucks then, like using ground zero for zero fucks is the part that I'm still giggling about. Like where to put your fucks. I think that's a good hashtag
over here,
for this event.
Yeah, exactly.
Like bring all your fucks in and figure out where to put them in whatever package. But I couldn't agree more as a parent that, you know, someone hurts you, it's one thing. Someone hurts you, and you feel like it hurts your kids by association, that's a whole different thing and a whole different defense feeling for me.
Oh my God.
Like I will fucking kill you if you hurt my kids.
Yes.
Me, I'll just end you. But if you hurt my kids, it'll be painful. It'll be, I'll take you down slowly.
And the guilt, because you're like, I don't want the way I'm living to impact them negatively.
Right.
So, you know.
No, you want to
Makes you
inspire.
a little more careful.
Yep, and I
A
think
lot more careful.
And I think that's true of loving anybody. You begin to think that, you know, I am not an island. I may have impact on other people's well-being. My actions might. And so that's when you tap your foot and call people like a person instead of, and that I don't agree with you.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to do that. We're almost out of time.
We have a minute.
Okay, so because we're almost out of time, I kind of want to see if you guys have questions, because this is a very fandom room that's very full. I see one right there, because you're close, and then you're over there. Well, can we bring her a mic? Oh, I didn't do that. You can just lean into my breast mic. Okay.
She's like, I will yell.
Okay. Stand up.
I'm a former actor, I can speak loud enough.
Do it.
I have a question for you. So on The Biggest Loser, what I found is that you had to get to a point with the contestants to get them to break through whatever their issues are, to really then start losing weight. Did you find it very difficult to be able to get these people to that point, whether it's television or real life?
So breaking through your shit.
This is such a complicated question. No. It requires time. Do I have like just a couple more minutes?
No, go.
Okay. So you're absolutely right in that. People don't engage in destructive behaviors because they're stupid or they're lazy or they're weak or they just like pizza. No, obviously not. And whether it's, you know, you eat too much of the wrong foods, or you date the wrong people, or you spend money you don't have, you drink too much. They're all coping mechanisms and survival mechanisms. And I promise you that at one time or another, that survival mechanism literally was your psychological survival. And this is the reason that letting go of it is so fucking hard. And it's the reason that so many who lose weight put it back on, who quit smoking, start smoking again. The science of weight loss it doesn't get more simple, I promise you. It's eat less, move more. Anybody who tells you otherwise is a fucking liar. And by the way, they don't need to lie to you. I've made millions with that message over the last, I don't know how many years. So it's like, it's that simple, I promise you. What makes it hard is that psychological component. And the other reality is that getting somebody to see that is one thing. Getting somebody to let go of it is another. And on The Biggest Loser, you had a life or death intervention on a ticking clock, whereas most people watched it and they're like, it's a TV show. You know, for me, I was like, oh my God, this person's gonna go home in 2 weeks. This is 10 years of therapy, and I'm not a therapist. So, you know, you would try, and in some cases you'd be successful, you know, and the ones where you're like, all right, you know, if I got one out of the whole group that's still healthy, it's a massive win. You know what I mean? And it's just, the hope is that you can sort of open their eyes, and in sometimes doing so, they hate you for it. They're not ready to see it. And it's irresponsible to show them things in some cases they're not ready to see. You know, and I had to do a lot of work on that because I made a mistake once showing a contestant something he wasn't ready to see. And it had to do with his mom backing up and killing his brother and blaming him for it. And I knew that this was at the heart of what was going on. And he saw it and hated me for it. And it was, and at that point I was like, I have no business. I'm being extremely irresponsible. And it's like, can only go so far. And that's when I would try to get them into therapy after the show, and a lot of them didn't have that's what I mean. It's a fucking complicated issue. So someone has to be ready, really ready, and then responsibly, you might suss that out and help them get the proper support to maintain their healthy changes.
That's awesome, and I think so apt. And whatever.
They gave us 2
minutes. They were like, "What are they?"
We got 2 more minutes.
I think that's such a thoughtful, sensitive answer that is so meaningful. And I just personal thing. My husband is a psychiatrist, and he feels like people should just go get in shape, and they will feel better. He's like, not just therapy. Plus find your passion in fitness, go surfing, learn something that's gonna take you out of your body. So the combination is no doubt fundamental because behavior change is often short-lived. It's not changing your fundamental grievance with yourself or historical sort of depth of issue. So thank you for that. I think that's bespeaks many things. Okay, so now we are gonna start wrapping up because we have some additional people coming on stage, and I know Jillian's extremely exciting. So we can hang out all day.
Folks kicking me off
stage.
We
do have a question. We have a question right here. All right. Are you cool just yelling? Because the mic is like, oh, the mic is coming from the mic. No, it's so fun when you do it on a mic. It's really fun.
Hi, Jillian. I've been following you for a really long time, and also you as well, Samantha. And
really?
Yes, you're cool. You're both cool. My name is Gail Davis Carter. I am a United Nations partner dealing on food and health. This is personal for me. I have a husband that is overweight and likes, the foods that are no good for you. So being a wife and dealing with a male, okay, who, just as you said, is not ready to go there, but it affects you as his wife or his partner or whatever, how do you manage that? Because it does affect you in the long run when you're married or living with them or whatever. It affects you big time. How do you have them see that? Because it has to be their choice. You can't force them.
Well,
what is your advisement on that, especially when they're three-something?
There are 2 strategies. One is ruthless, and you will have to decide which is the more appropriate. Here's ruthless, and it is ruthless, and it doesn't always work. And when it doesn't, you need to go into it having 0 expectation of a result because you'll take it personally when I tell you what you could try. And, the reality is that a lot of times people go through life comfortably numb. They just shut off. They don't feel anything. And food is one of those numbing mechanisms, right? So when they don't feel how painful it is to live the way they've been living, there's 0 motivation to change and give up what the food has been affording them psychologically, right? So we don't know what it's affording him, but I promise you it's something significant. So with that said, you gotta make it hurt for him to continue doing what he's been doing. And that's kind of like the rock bottom moment, right? And in my opinion, you go up to a family member and it's like you show them how much it's hurting you. You show them how afraid you are. You don't attack them. It's not about putting on the defensive. It's like, hey, I'm worried about you. The kids are worried about you. You're gonna leave me a widow. You're gonna orphan your children. This is for real. We're terrified. It's like an intervention. Come to Jesus, put all your cards on the table, and you gotta hope it hurts enough. It breaks his heart so much that it hurts more doing what he's doing than the fear of change and the loss of what it's affording him. That's one strategy, but by the way, it doesn't work a lot of the time. And then you're like, he doesn't love me enough. He doesn't love the kids enough. And that's not true. It has nothing to do with how much he loves you. It has to do with how deep the psychological connection to the food is. The other thing, and this is something that's absolutely harmless and you should do 100% anyway, we can't make anyone change. The only thing we can do is lead by example. So if you get healthy and you feel great and the quality of your life has improved, right? The hope is that he'll see it. And somewhere along the line, he'll be inspired. And you can get him to start connecting with an emotional why, a passion for the reason he wants to change. Like, I'm doing this because I want to be around for my grandkids. I'm doing this because I feel the best I ever have in my bathing suit. I'm doing this because we're going to have sex with the lights on for the first time, which is greatly overrated, but I'm told men love it. So I have a business partner. He prefers, am I wrong? You like the lights, right? Yeah. So, yeah. He does.
So good.
So I myself have a female partner, lights are down. So, anyway, points being on point, Jill, on point. Small segue. So, here we are. See if you can get him to be inspired by your journey. See if you can get him to start thinking about the ways that his life will improve and become emotionally connected to this why, right? If we have a why to live for, we can tolerate the how. I think that was originally Nietzsche and then brought to life again by Viktor Frankl, as much as I'd love to take credit for it. And work with purpose is passion. Work without purpose is punishing. Try to get him to emotionally connect to a why and be inspired by your journey. And at the end of the day, if those two things don't work, you know you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and this is his journey in this life.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, we have to wrap it up. That was amazing. Okay, so a lot of love for Jillian and appreciation for people who come and share this degree of authenticity on our stage. And if you want to continue to be perpetually connected to Jillian, as do I, then she has, there is a new badass app.
No,
I'm done with it. No. But she has a new app, and it's effective, which is, as you know, is her brand. And it's called My Fitness, Jillian Michaels. And you can really track. I mean, I think that for me, gamifying sometimes My Fitness is helpful. Like, don't take that other drink because something else bad will happen to you. And on that note,
I will drop a safe on you.
Don't take advice from me.
Thank you so
All right,
much,
thanks,
guys.
You're the best. Okay, I think we're going to go this way.
Going this way. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
The hook.
This way.
No, I'm going this way.
Go this way.